Welcome to Dr. Jester Talks, and I'm gonna talk about the Trump and Biden debates. Turns out that it was interesting, to say the least, but Biden stumbled a lot, and there have been a lot of criticism towards Biden and Chris Wallace. Some to Trump, because I realize he does tend to have a tendency to interrupt Biden a lot. But then again, if it didn't, because it was mostly a Trump versus Wallace and Biden. Because Chris Wallace, was defending Biden a lot. In fact, I'm even going to go on record and say that it was mostly a debate between Trump and Wallace. Because Biden was doing nothing, to say the least. Because Biden refused to condemn Antifa and refused to say much in that he was a law and order candidate. He refused to show which law and order organization backed him up. He refused to condemn the ballot harvesting and other problems in regards to voter fraud. But the most interesting bit that I found is how he dealt with the Green New Deal that some of his supporters say he did not support yet again. And let me show it to you that Biden said. Look at this. From Washington Times, and I heard and read the Biden statement, and I listened to it when it was happening. The Green New Deal was back in front burner, and Tuesday, Democratic presidential nominee Joseph R. Biden said that he doesn't support the ambitious climate plan immediately, both before and after defending it. In fact, he did defend it. He said that the Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. You are not going to build plants that in fact are great polluting plants. He did defend it. He said, will pay itself as we move forward. But then he obviously backtracked. But the Green New Deal is not my plan. The way he speaks, it was really weird. It's as if, but no. Sorry, let me get my old guy voice. But then you're not going. I can't get it out of them. You're not going to. But then, why aren't you doing it? It's like either way, the Green New Deal, as even Wallace had to call him out on it. It's going to cost a lot. How is he going to pay for it? Coffee. I'm gonna need it a lot before this shit is over. Because how is he going to pay for it? He plans to replace houses, build I don't know how many electric car charging stations, a buttload of other stuff. He says he's pro-nuclear, but his side doesn't show that. In fact, albeit on his website, he does delineate that he wants new nuclear reactors. That's great, but his side, the people who support him, are very vehemently anti-nuclear and anti-fracking. In fact, Biden even went on a record on the debate that he's actually against fracking. And fracking is, in fact, a very clean energy, and in fact, it would support a lot of the American population in there, because there is a lot of people who work in fracking in America. Would give them extra jobs. But why would Biden stand against that? Fracking is indeed a very clean energy, and America has a lot of it. Only the idiots, hippies, if you want to call them, is against it. Why would Biden be against it? I don't know. Don't ask me. It's kind of like the side that supports Biden. 1 second. I need a lot of fuel to get through a lot of bullshit that Biden said. Mostly people who support Biden are people who actually is even against GMOs. If they want to get to zero carbon emissions by what, 2035 or 2050 or something like that. Not 35 or 2050, things like that. It's just impossible for his plans. But if he wants to enact those plans, they need to enact GMOs. But his side is mostly against it. And GMOs is definitely a very clean and a very efficient way of planting. You actually cut a lot of carbon emissions by using and planting GMOs. Because not only is it more efficient, as in it comes with built-in pesticides, it avoids, for instance, of having to use multiple vehicles to launch pesticides and protect the plants. Sure, you can go organic, but organic doesn't mean pesticide-free. And then even more so, organic will guarantee that your crops will have plagues, will then have problems, because without any sort of defense to the plants, you can say, oh, let's put on this thing over here. No, let's plant on one plant over here. That plant will go and fight against that. No, it doesn't work, dude. It doesn't work. It has never worked. Well, it will never work unless you genetically alter the plant. Or using organic pesticide. Organic pesticide is even more toxic than the chemically based, well, everything is chemical, but I'm talking about human-made pesticides. It's even more toxic than human-made pesticides. Either way, with GMOs, for instance, you use less trucks, you use less planes to launch pesticides, you use even less, less people to actually check the plants. You use less man hours to do everything else. So, for instance, with less people working on your crops, it means less people traveling to and from the farm, so there's less carbon emissions. With less pesticides using it, so it means not only less people trying to apply it, it means less vehicles, as I've already mentioned. And even more so, you get fresher and better plants. And even the most important of all, you get more per acre than with organic or conventional farming. See, that's simple. But most of the people who support Biden are against anti-GMOs. It's difficult to and Trump rightfully called him on it. And Biden has been in power for 47 years. And what did he do? Diddly fucking squat. And he wants to do something now? And what the fuck? Dude, what in the actual fuck? Why does he want to do something just now? Only now? Couldn't he have done something in the past 47 years? Or when he was a vice president? Of course not. Of course not. It's annoying. And Biden, like I said, now I'm gonna move on to this. Because Biden says Antifa is an idea, says after White House moved to label it a terror group. And now, for instance, Trump is being attacked because he refused to condemn white supremacists. He actually did. He said, sure, I'm gonna condemn it. Not exactly I'm gonna condemn it, but he used the word sure, multiple times when Wallace said, are you going to condemn the white supremacists? He said, sure. What else do you want? He said even, name me the movements for me to condemn. He did. Let's see here. Antifa is an idea, not an organization. Biden said during, this is from Fox News, said during the debate in Ohio. That's what FBI director said. In fact, Trump even condemned and labeled the KKK as a terrorist organization. And on the same package, he gave $500 billion to black communities. What else do you fucking want? We look at Antifa as more of an ideology or a movement than an organization, Ray said. The Antifa is interesting because it's not a centralized organization. They have multiple cells. For instance, there's a cell in Portland, there's a cell in Seattle, and even then they have multiple cells within. So if you take one head, there's always one or the other organization to take over the cell that you take down. It's difficult. It's kind of like a cancer. You take one cell, there's another taken out. You need to take multiple at the same time to cure the cancer. And that's exactly what is happening here with Antifa. And Biden refused to condemn it. It's absurd the way it is. And even DiAngelo, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's pretty much been the forefront and the person who gets attacked by these groups, by Antifa. And he has suffered a lot. And he's actually an Asian, and they call him a white supremacist. How in the actual fuck does that compute? I don't know. You know what? It means white supremacist is the most tolerant group ever. They accept the gays, they accept black people, they accept Latinos. Even I got called a white supremacist, and look at me, I'm a Latino with Jewish ancestry. How in the actual fuck does that happen? They accept the gays, did I already mention that? Transsexuals, even Blair White got called a white supremacist. Holy fuck on myself. Holy shit on a pickle. And Biden's statement shows that on this front, he and the Democrats want to keep the liberal status quo, which is to downplay and deny the threat of their organized militant far left. And is absolutely 100% correct here. He's also an author of the comic book, but now we have months and months of rioting, and that keeps on happening. Rioting after rioting, people getting killed over and over and over, and even, in fact, they even came out a research paper linking BLM and Antifa riots with the increase on the CUF. What else do you fucking want? You don't want to stop rioting? Okay. And then the newspapers in itself, a lot of people are showing that Trump did trash Joe Biden. For instance, this one is from New York Post. Trump trashed Joe Biden and Chris Wallace after bitter debate. And it's true, look, nobody wants Sleepy Joe as a leader, including the radical left, which he lost last night. He disrespected Bernie, effectively calling him a loser. Well, let's face it, Bernie is a loser. He's pretty much a guy with no backbone. For instance, he was all about taxing the millionaires. As soon as Bernie became a millionaire, he said, "Let's tax the billionaires." That's exactly what happened. He tweeted several messages with similar criticism of Biden and Wallace. Let's move on. Biden called Trump a clown and told him to shut up and shush. Yes, Biden said that multiple times. And Biden interrupted Trump a lot. And Wallace barely railed him in. He criticized Trump a lot when Trump interrupted Biden, but he barely did that when Biden interrupted Trump. It's disturbing. Trump peppered Biden with questions about his son's Hunter's business dealings with China, Russia, and Ukraine, and during a dispute, told Biden, "Wait a minute, Joe, let me shut you down for a second." Wallace struggled to keep order. At one point told Trump that he was more guilty of interruptions than Biden. After the debate, Trump tweeted a late-night composite image accusing Wallace of siding with Biden versus Trump. And Biden interrupted Trump a lot. What did Chris Wallace do? Absolutely diddly fucking squat. We all know this is going to be a mostly... and before I go on, Biden said, "I am the Democratic Party." we all know the real debate is going to be with Pence and Kamala Harris, because it's the Harris administration. Even Biden admitted it himself in an interview, I believe, or in front of camera a couple of weeks ago. It's going to be interesting when we see that. It's hopefully, if I'm not otherwise distracted or anything like that, I get to cover or comment on the discussion between Pence and Harris. And Chris Wallace also got criticized. He faces intense boomerized that one. Daily Wire. Chris Wallace faces intense backlash, including from colleagues, over bias during debate. Fox News host Chris Wallace, a registered Democrat, faced intense backlash on Tuesday night for what was widely deemed a bias in the debate in favor of Democrat Joe Biden against Republican President Donald Trump. One of the issues that Wallace was called out for the most was how he appeared to let Biden interrupt Trump, but would jump in to interrupt Trump when Trump would talk over Biden. And that is true. Why is Joe Biden allowed to interrupt? Brian Kilmeade said, and he is absolutely correct. Why was Joe Biden allowed to interrupt, but not Trump? Why? Fox and Laura Ingraham made a similar point. Why Biden seems to interrupt with impunity, and that is true. I've seen the discussions, and Biden kept interrupting Trump a lot, but Chris Wallace did almost nothing. Almost nothing. It's what in the actual fuck was going on? Let me drink some coffee because. Yes, it's getting lukewarm even though it's fucking hot outside. I love Chris Wallace, but he should get out of the way, Andy McCarthy said. Biden doesn't support the Green New Deal. Oh, Wallace, got that out of him. No, Trump did. Oh well, did Wallace clarify what's part of Green New Deal Biden's against? No, needed to move on. Yes, that's another thing that I need to cover. Thank you, Andy McCarthy, for pointing that out. Chris Wallace kept moving the point a lot. He said, no, let's move on to another point. Especially after Trump had Biden by his balls. He would squeeze it. The moment Trump squeezed Biden over something, Wallace interrupted and said, no, let's move on. It was Wallace kept defending Biden a lot in this case. Trump would squeeze in, would say something that definitely we would be interested in seeing Biden's answer, and Wallace interrupted and said, no, let's move on. It's annoying to say the least. Let's keep going. McCarthy jumps in the second time when Biden having trouble with Trump's questioning. Yes, that happened a lot, and Wallace would definitely try to protect Biden on this. Fox News host Greg Gutfeld said that he was not good when Wallace reportedly laughed with Biden. Wallace laughing along with Biden isn't a good look. That was not good. I agree, it wasn't. Bill O'Reilly, he used to be a colleague of Wallace's, wrote on Twitter, good line from Trump. He tells Chris Wallace he's debating him, not Joe. Exactly. That was quite interesting. Chris Wallace doesn't have the facts at his command about the Ukraine payments made to Biden's sons that Trump brought up. Big mistake by Mr. Wallace. Exactly. Trump brought up that, and Biden kind of disregarded or put it down or downplayed it, and that's a huge deal. In fact, I don't know if I'm going to cover it or not, but even came out a letter recently by the Director of National Intelligence. In a lot of Biden and Hillary Clinton supporters are downplaying it. For instance, one of the tweets that I read said that it wasn't made by anyone with knowledge or understanding or with any background, even though it came from the Director of National Intelligence. In response to, okay, here it is, Chairman Graham. In response to your request for intelligence community information related to Federal Bureau investigation, Crossfire Hurricane investigation, I have declassified the following. U.S. intelligence agencies obtaining inside into Russian intelligence analysis alleging that U.S. President candidate Hillary Clinton had approved the campaign plan to stir up a scandal against U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump by tying him to Putin and the Russians, hacking of the Democratic National Committee. IC does not know the accuracy of this allegation, obviously, or the extent to which the Russian intelligence analysis may reflect exaggeration or fabrication. Sure, but this is mostly of the people who defends Biden and supports Hillary stopped here. They did not go the other paragraph or the other points. According to his handwritten notes, former Central Intelligence Agency Director Brennan subsequently briefed President Obama and other senior national security officials on the intelligence, including the alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26, 2016 of the proposal from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. So Obama knew about it, about what is going on. On September 7th, 2016, U.S. intelligence officials forwarded an investigative referral to FBI Director James Comey and Deputy Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Peter Strzok regarding U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton approval of a plan concerning U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections as a means of distracting the public from her use of a private mail server. See? And they don't even care. It's annoying. Let's keep going on the Daily Wire. Chris Wallace doesn't have the facts in his command, like I said. Quoting that, Chris Wallace is a disgrace. Republicans need to stop allowing the slanted media to have any role in debates in future years. That's one of the things that I wanted Joe Rogan to take on. That's why I wanted him to moderate as well. When Joe Rogan, they said that Joe Rogan should be the one moderating, and Trump even agreed, but Biden did not. In fact, let me go on into that detail. Biden, in the Biden crew and etc., agreed at the beginning to do the drug test and the peddling to see if he had any microphone, not microphones, receptors or anything, radio receptors or anything, for instance, in the ears to tell him the answers or anything like that. But at the last minute, they refused. Why? That shows something. That definitely tells you something. Actor James Wood wrote on Twitter, Chris Wallace is shamelessly biased. It's a beautiful demonstration of fake news in action. I'm actually glad it's happening because you can see it for yourself exactly. And unfortunately, many people who side with Biden will only see the summary from MSNBC or CNN on this. Journalist Yashar Ali, who was Hillary Clinton's co-chair on her 2008 presidential campaign, wrote on Twitter that there was no doubt that Wallace is not doing a good job as a debate moderator. Let's see. Question. Chris Wallace is not doing a good job as a debate moderator. No doubt about that. But in terms of Trump's repeated interrupting, would another moderator have handled it better? Without the ability to mute a microphone, what could another moderator have done? Yeah, you're almost there. Why is there an elephant in here? Yeah, okay. Sure, the Daily Wire here could have painted it a little bit better, her tweet, but let's keep going. Newsweek editor Josh Hammer wrote on Twitter, just an excusable effort tonight from Chris Wallace. And I say that as someone who is generally a fan of his. It seems he's getting attacked everywhere from both sides of the political spectrum. Federal co-founder Sean Davis wrote on Twitter, Chris Wallace is now reading Biden's energy plan back to him to remind Biden what is his plan. I have never seen anything like that from a moderator. That's true. That's exactly what I commented in the beginning of this video, of how of Biden's plan. And what I said about the Biden's plan, and most of it, was actually Wallace reading it to him. But even that, Wallace could not defend Biden in certain things, because what Biden requires to enact his plan is a lot of money, and something that like Trump even commented on, that America couldn't even pay in 100 years the amount of money that Biden requires to enact his plans. And I'm currently discussing this on Reddit with a few of the TDSers who supports Biden. And they say that there is a plan that they are going to magically come up with the money, or that Biden did in fact enact or say exactly where he's getting that money. But he doesn't, not even in his website says it. And I read it and it was a lot, like I commented on in regards to nuclear energy. Chris Wallace is making very clear that his goal tonight is to run interference for Joe Biden. Yes, that was very clear. He wants to be deranged, never Trumper. That's his prerogative, but Wallace is doing everything in his power to tilt the election towards his preferred candidate. Everyone can see it. Ben Shapiro wrote on Twitter, Chris Wallace over the course of the night has moved from moderator to debater, and that's exactly what Trump said in one of the parts on the discussion. It was a debate between Trump and Chris Wallace. Conservative commentator Jess Kelly wrote on Twitter, okay, I don't generally nitpick moderators, but Chris Wallace asking Joe Biden about the very fine people thing without bringing up that it's a flat out lie is an absolute embarrassment. That's another thing that I want to comment on. It's an absolute fucking lie. Trump was actually commenting on and criticized the people who went there, the right wingers or the white supremacists. He vehemently criticized them and condemned them, but he said that at the beginning it was both fine. At the beginning he had hey, autofocus, thank you. That at the beginning, there were actually good people in there protesting the tear down one statue, but then it got completely and utterly overtaken by goddamn fucking white supremacists. And then Antifa came in, and there was a fucking shit show. Let's keep going. Okay, Don Giovanni, former director of national intelligence, Richard Grenell, tweeted, Chris Wallace is supposed to be invisible. He isn't. He's off to a terrible start. Exactly. He's supposed to be invisible and just showing up when he is needed. Going to in the debate of both of them. He's only needed to ask the questions and reel in the candidate that would come out of his own spot. But he didn't. Commentator Cadence Wallace, Chris Wallace does interrupt Joe Biden. Exactly, he doesn't. He lets Biden go on and on and on. He tweeted, unbelievable. Every person in America knows these riots are being orchestrated by the BLM and Antifa. Chris Wallace asks President to condemn white supremacists, but did not think to ask Joe Biden to condemn Antifa or BLM. And when Trump pressed Joe Biden about it, Joe Biden not only refused, but Wallace moved on, said to move to another subject. Nuclear Investigations senior writer Mark Hemingway wrote, Chris Wallace calling critical race theory and racial sensitivity training is totally ignorant of what's being taught. It's racist and anti-American. Yes, critical race theory or racial sensitivity training is an absolute attack on America, and it's actually racist. It's actually telling you that white people are actually racist no matter what. That's absurd, and it is attacking American ideals, telling that America is bad. Look at me, I'm fucking Latino, I'm Latin American, and I say America is fucking awesome. Take it from me, America is awesome. Political commentator Harry Kachan tweeted Chris Wallace chuckling and joking with Biden during the debate. Mid-question is grossly unprofessional conduct from a moderator. Agreed. Conservative commentator and counter wrote, every time Trump is nailing Biden, every time Trump is nailing Biden, Chris Wallace interrupts. That's the next topic. Sorry, I'm having a bit of an allergy crisis. The weather is dry and hot as fuck. I'm developing a very nice swamp ass. MSNBC host, holy shit, even MSNBC host Joe Scarborough wrote, "Where is Chris Wallace? This is a disgrace." Former White House Dr. Ronnie Jackson tweeted, "Fire Chris Wallace, he is an embarrassment to Fox News." Former CNN host Soledad O'Brien wrote, "Hello, Chris Wallace. Looking for a moderator here. Jesus Christ, what a fucking a freaking mess." Obviously, she's attacking Chris Wallace, not really in Trump, but then again, Trump had the right to do it because he wouldn't reel in Biden when Biden interrupted Trump. And Wallace was actually inside, not inside, on the side of Biden. "Dear Chris Wallace, you're a national embarrassment." Conservative Daniel Loesch wrote on Twitter, "Never allow Chris Wallace to moderate another debate again. This was an absolute shit show. The viewer wasn't even a secondary concern." Keep going. Conservative commentator hates Chris Wallace. Daily Call, conservative commentator. "I generally like Chris Wallace." Let's see. Reagan Battalion tried to better buy Chris Wallace a beer after this. After he saved his ass so many times tonight. Yes, it's true. Nice meme. I'm definitely going to save this. National security expert David Rioboy is landing blows. Wallace comes out to shut it down. It's true. Alright, I think that's it. That was a lot, way more than I expected to be talking about this. But it shows the disaster that it is, that it was this debate, because they wouldn't let Trump say his points, and Biden kept interrupting him, and Wallace defending Biden when Trump would nail Biden's ass on the wall when he's squeezing him by the balls. And Wallace would come in defending him. "I'm Super Chris Wallace, and I'm here to defend Biden." That's pretty much the summary of the entire debate. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you on my next video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Good night.